When you think of Pokemon, there are many thoughts that instantly come to mind. However, a darkened past interlaced with many gloomy secrets isn't something most of us think about. Firstly, to those thoughts, however, the whole Pokemon series is filled with moments, characters, and even Pokemon that dabble in darker aspects of being. And as more things become known, it's only a matter of time until we get a dedicated series to explore the more mature aspects of the Pokemon world. However, today my goal is to articulate to you in no uncertainty some of the horrors contained within the series. If you do end up liking this little video and want to see some more sometime in the future, it'd mean a bunch if you left the video a like and maybe consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. With that out of the way, let's get right into some of these Poke-atrocities. Pokemon's offensive undertones. I want to start this video off hot with arguably one of the most negligent things Pokemon has done over the years, and that comes in the time where it propagated Nazi Germany both intentionally and unintentionally. If you saw my video talking about the weirdest changes in Pokemon, you'll know we went over changes made to Registeel and his battle entry back in Diamond and Pearl. However, beyond that, there are several instances within the Pokemon series where they've utilized imagery that is very reminiscent of the sinister organization. Whether we're talking about a certain style of mustache or a swastika on a few select Pokemon cards, these things all exist within the series. However, standing out as the single most blatant example of mimicking or representing that agenda exists within the episode All Things Bright and Beautifly, where within the episode's Japanese release, there exists a small section where Team Rocket's minions all gather together alongside Meowth, Jesse, and James. They all stand together and raise their arms for a salute. This of course looked to emulate the gestures of the hateful group from our own world's history through assigning one of its core postures to the show's evil organization. And while it's being assigned to the evil group, it's still really odd to see to this day, considering how Pokemon's core demographic is children, and of course referencing Nazis in a kid's show is a big no-no. Either way, it definitely paints Team Rocket in a much darker light for me personally, when I consider what they were sourced to be based off in some ways. Hypno's predatory nature. Speaking of things in Pokemon that are based on real life things, one of the single most hated Pokemon themselves is based on something quite malevolent as well. Hypno, aka the worst fully evolved psychic type in Generation 1, has been the centerpiece for many Poke-based scary stories over the years. Most notably back in 2010 when the creepypasta boom really took off. After some time, we received a song simply named Hypno's Lullaby. This was of course not a canon thing constructed by the Pokemon Company. However, the creators did draw inspiration from his Pokedex entries as well as from the lore of the Pokemon. These things they drew inspiration from reference that Hypno has a bit of a habit of abducting children. But if you want specific instances within the series instead of lore and entries though, you'll have to look no further than the episode Hypno's Naptime. In this episode, we hear about how several children have disappeared due to Hypno's hypnosis, as well as the fact that it put many kids out cold before they awoke and believed that they were Pokemon themselves. And when I say that, I mean these kids actually ran away to the forests and lands to live their lives out as Pokemon, which would make some sense considering the ones I mentioned before that had allegedly disappeared. Beyond this, however, it's not exactly clear what happens to these kids who disappear, which leaves a lot up to the interpretations of fans. That being said though, I do want to notate that most people aren't convinced that Hypno's intentions are pure per se. Needless to say though, most trainers should keep wary of leaving their kids anywhere near Hypno while they're not. Pokemon's general nature. Now, this might be a bold claim, but as a wholesale idea, Pokemon's main idea, aka catching and battling these powerful creatures, is kinda messed up. From certain news outlets and media coverage in the past, this beloved series was subject to much criticism for the way Pokemon were treated more as slaves to do their trainers' biddings. Oftentimes even being compared to dogfighting rings or similar arenas where money would be placed on one animal's ability to outfight the other. In some ways, this criticism is very valid, as for the most part, Pokemon are simply plucked from a forest, grassland, or ocean with a Pokeball before being hauled away to fight or breed on the trainer's behalf. There is zero choice for these beings who are simply living and existing in their respective climates, as they are then ripped away without even a second thought from most trainers. And considering that these beings are practically all-powerful super monsters, I'm somewhat surprised that they haven't up and rebelled in much the same way Mewtwo did in the first film. Thinking about it now, I may have to recommend that you treat your shiny new Porygon nicely, otherwise it might just blue screen your compute. Jokes aside, I'm not telling you to feel bad for the next Tauros you catch or consider releasing all of your favorite Pokemon, but just note the general concept of the series paints a very glum picture for our favorite Pokefriends. James's hidden message. Now, when we all think of the word secret, it innately infers that whatever we're talking about is just outside of plain sight. So, that being said, maybe some of you watching this will have heard about subliminal messaging, which typically means that the message being purveyed is just below the surface of the thing that we're seeing, or in this case, we're hearing. For example, the song Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin is often referenced for containing satanic incantations if you were to take the song and play it backwards. While most see this as coincidental and more of a person grasping to hear certain words than them actually being the rock band's intent, what if I were to tell you that something very similar exists within Pokimane? As within the episode The Whistle Stop, there's a section where a muffled James is heard, which I'll play for you now. However, if you were to take this clip and run it in reverse, you would hear something quite a bit more sinister coming from the mouth of Eric Seward, aka the voice of James.
Leo Burnett and 4 kids of the devil, Leo Burnett.
Now, in comparison to Stairway to Heaven, this is a clear and evident intention by Eric to record these lines. However, they were recorded with the intention to never be used and were a way for him to protest 4Kids for trying to avoid paying dub voice actors for commercials. And as this discovery was made, 4Kids quickly stopped distribution of the taped copies of the episode and from there released an edited version of it. Still though, for as much as Pokimane likes to take pages from sinister organizations through history, it seems that even them as well as 4Kids was against the idea of James comparing the dubbing company and their distributors to the devil himself. Pokerap's hidden message. Keeping on trend with Pokimane's subliminal message about the devil, let's take a look at everyone's favorite end of episode bit, that being the Pokerap, which for many kids, myself included, was something I grew to adore rather quickly. Pretty much these end of episode songs would make a nice little rap while naming off different Pokemon and a chill little melody. It was super cool to me as a kid, but hidden beneath the surface, just like a Sharpedo about to strike, lurked yet another message which I'll play for you now. Now to me this sounds like a gargled mess in comparison to the James one we just went over where it's clearly audible. But people claim that the bit I just played contained the words "I love you, Satan." Frankly, this one reminds me much more of the Led Zeppelin example where it feels like people are grasping to find words rather than them actually existing. Then again, the nature of subliminal messaging is to be intentionally ambiguous, so maybe I'm wrong here. That being said though, this little message is still lurking just out of sight for many unsuspecting kids and parents watching the Pokemon series. So to me it still counts as a dark secret all in all. And I have a little extra bonus subliminal message that we can talk about briefly. This one, however, exists within the song we all loved and cherished within the first Pokemon theme. However, for this one, I'm even less convinced there are any hidden meanings or anything really at all. Apparently, if you listen to the song in reverse, you can hear the words "all must die" and "all must testify," which I personally cannot hear at all. I'll leave a link in the description to one of the YouTubes playing them if you want to listen to them yourself, but once again, I don't really hear anything with these ones, so if you end up hearing more of these messages yourself, definitely let me know in the comments below. Oh, and any timestamps would be great too. The Pokemon War. For our final dark secret we're going to talk about today, let's take a look at what many fans have speculated on over the years since the series practically first began. That of course being the idea of a Pokemon War, which was alleged to have taken place in the years prior to Lieutenant Surge becoming a gym leader. Now, in the movie Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, we actually get to see a form of Pokemon War that happened sometime in the seemingly distant past. Fun fact, this movie is actually canon to the Pokemon anime timeline. That being said though, the war that Surge is inferred to have served in had to have been a completely different instance, as within the Pokemon Fire Red game, he references specifically that Pokemon had in fact saved his life. Now, why am I bringing up all these facts about an alleged Pokemon War, aside from the fact that it's really odd for a series made up for kids to be talking about things like this? Well, have you ever stopped and thought about what the purpose of a gym system and what the purpose of a Pokemon professor is? Well, in terms of speculation, there are several fans who believe the structure and intent with these systems is to raise a new crop of trainers and Pokemon alike to fight for their queen and country, if you will. AKA the gym challenge system is intended to be something of a Pokemon boot camp. But when I consider how battling is treated in the anime, I personally find this to be a tiny bit far-fetched when I've always seen it as a form of sport in this world. But then again, it would also make a ton of sense at the same time, seeing as the world's military is never to be seen, so maybe that's a point to bring up as well. Either way, the existence of the more modern Pokemon Wars have been kept mostly under wrap by Pokemon as a series in general, which is definitely an interesting secret to keep to say the least. So those are some of the darkest secrets hidden within the Pokemon series as a whole. What are your thoughts on these, and do you feel like there are any that I missed? Definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see your takes on the darker side of this typically bright series. I did my best to make things in this video seem somewhat up to your own interpretation, so hopefully it gave you a few things to ponder regardless of if you feel like sharing them in the comments or not. Outside of the reasons discussed in this video though, there are several other examples where darker themes and secrets are hidden throughout the series. So if you do want a part 2, it would help me gauge interest in that if you left a like on the video and maybe even subscribe for if and whenever that second video comes out. I'll be making other Pokemon videos regardless to hold you over until then, so hopefully those can keep you invested. Anyway, I'm gonna bounce for now. I hope this video didn't accidentally ruin your childhood. Regardless though, I hope you stay safe and be bold, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.